Hello friends, it is day 8 of our reset. Today we're going to be looking at the paragraph titles in Luke chapters 4 through 7 as a continuation of yesterday's topic. So we see here in chapter 4, Jesus heals a man with an unclean spirit, he heals many, Jesus cleanses a leper, Jesus calls a tax collector to be his disciple, he heals a paralytic, he says to love your enemies, he heals a Roman centurion's servant. So we see again and again Jesus including those who were excluded, reaching out to the outcast, touching the untouchable. Ephesians says that we are God's masterpiece, that each of us individually is God's work of art. Now imagine you were walking through an alley and you see next to a dumpster a painting. And the painting is very old, but it's very trashed. There's mud and grime and food waste all over it. There's a tear down one side. And there's this little hole where you can see what the painting actually was. And you see, that's the Mona Lisa, the most famous painting in the world. And upon further inspection, you realize, that's the original. Now, would you say, it's all gross and disgusting, just leave it, it's worthless? Of course not. You would immediately start to make some calls. You start doing some searches. You would find someone who could restore it because you can't restore it yourself. It's too valuable for you. So you would call a master restorer to do the work on this painting. When God looks at you, and when God looks at me, and when God looks at our enemies, God doesn't see the mud and the grime and the tears in us. God doesn't see only our brokenness, but God sees what's on the other side of our brokenness. God sees the masterpiece underneath, and God is a master restorer. The work is restoration, not creation. There is already a masterpiece underneath our brokenness. God is simply restoring us to become who we were originally created to be. And the same applies to other broken people we encounter. They have a masterpiece underneath all of their junk too. And so when people do things that anger us because it's wrong, it's morally wrong what they're doing, that's not who they are. They're simply acting out of their brokenness. Shunning them, excluding them, only adds to their brokenness. We must instead bring them to the master restorer so they can be made whole again. So maybe today you're feeling like junk. Like you have tears in your canvas, that mud and grime have covered even the parts that you once considered beautiful. Talk to somebody about that today. Call me if you have no one else. And have them pray over you, to bring you to Jesus, the master restorer, so that he can begin to work to restore the masterpiece underneath. Or maybe today you have a deep-seated angst and unforgiveness towards someone who hurt you and wronged you. And you need to recognize that the actions of that person are not who they are, but that rather that they were living out of their brokenness. I encourage you, again, to talk to someone about that. To pray with them, to pray for the person you're harboring anger against, that they would find Jesus, that they would begin to be restored, to be made whole again. It is easiest to judge people when we hold them at a distance. And at a distance is when it is hardest to see them the way God sees them. So ask God to help you see past the brokenness of one person today, so we all can see the masterpiece we truly are. May God bless you and keep you. May the face of Jesus shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the fullness of the Spirit dwell within you and give you peace.